Hello, welcome to What the Flick. I'm Matt Atchity, Alonzo Duralde, Christy Lemire. They're going to talk about Strong Island, which is on Netflix this week.
Yeah, premieres on Friday.
But I couldn't see it.
But you should.
You should totally see it.
Don't tell me what to do.
I'm telling you. It premiered at Sundance this year. Strong Island is from director Yancey Ford, who is a black trans male filmmaker. And it's a story about the murder of Ford's brother some 20 or 25 years ago. And Ford's attempt to find some justice, or at least figure out why the grand jury refused to hand down an indictment. So there is a true crime element to the film, but it's also very much about family. It's about race. It is about regret and guilt. And it is beautifully made. Take a look.
You stumble out of the garage and into the yard where you fall.
I said to the officer, "Where is my son? I want to be with my son."
You lie on the ground, bullet through your heart. The police had turned my brother into the prime suspect in his own murder. 23 white people will decide no crime has even been committed.
It was like all the sand left the world.
If you have a good story, that's great, good for you, but that's this much of it. You have to figure out, you have to tell it well, and you have to make something that is sort of visually compelling. And Ford is so gifted at taking just old photographs and interviews and making this movie that is always beautiful to look at. I don't think I've ever seen old photographs handled in such a simple way and yet still sort of visually compelling way that he does in this film. He is unfolding this story, and it does a really good job of not telling you certain things until later and they have more impact, so you get kind of the broad outline of what happened and who's responsible. And then as it proceeds, Ford will unleash a little more tidbits of information and more background about stuff, and it just becomes more haunting. And there's these extraordinary interviews with the Ford's mother, who raised 3 children while she was running an educational program on Rikers Island, about how redlining works, and so they lived in this sort of black enclave of Long Island. But their access to social services or and public schools was not as good as it should have been. You find out more about the brother's life and what he was like before he died. Ford tells his own story about kind of going off to college and embracing a queer identity. Yeah, this is just a really moving story, and it's told so compellingly. I mean, I watch a lot of documentaries. I'm also a film festival programmer in my other life, and I see a lot of half-assed docs that aren't even from good ideas, but even ones that have a cool story or a neat character or something, but then they don't know how to tell it. And Yancey Ford, I don't know what other films he's got in him, but this one is extraordinarily compelling.
Yeah, it is a tricky thing of working on a couple of different levels at once, because it is so specific and it is so intimate. I mean, a lot of times very physically so, with the camera, with extreme close-ups of him as he's speaking into the camera, and his face is wonderful, and it's so warm and expressive, and it's lighted in beautiful ways, and so it's about him and about his family, but it's also about race in America, and which sounds like a gigantic topic to get your arms around. And so many documentaries we have seen recently, like 13th, and like what is the one about Ferguson we saw recently, which was excellent. Yeah, there's so many that have approached this behemoth topic from different angles, and this is yet another powerful one. It reminded me of Stories We Tell. And speaking of documentaries,
about family,
in that it is about one family, but it's about every family, and in that the version of events that we have told ourselves over the years, or the version that we have seen in photographs over the years, maybe isn't the total truth. And so we need the perspective of Yancey and his mom and his sister and his friends, and they all go back and they revisit the night of this murder over and over again. And whether it's remembering different things or the way Yancey Ford presents these different things, it's a bit of a mystery although the facts are clear, it's a mystery to us to learn it, and so it becomes compelling from that perspective as well. And so yeah, it's deceptively simple, but it does so much so well, and it's heartbreaking by the end. The idea that once again a black man does not get justice, a black man's family does not get justice, and it's just really, really powerful.
Yeah, I just think both in terms of storytelling and in terms of craft, this is just top drawer work, and it's on Netflix, so you can see it, and you should see it.
You have no excuse, and so they live on Long Island, and I guess not much has changed, even though the mother and father of this family moved there from the South, hoping to make a better life for their family, and then found that things maybe weren't all that different there either, and still are not with the police there, and so smart and relevant and heartbreaking, and I don't know that that anybody will feel better about things afterward, but it's enlightening.
And I think that for that point of view that you hear from certain corners, where whenever you try and bring up these topics, they always try and deflect the subject with like, oh, black on black violence or drugs or some bullshit argument. This is this ideal. This is a family that you put on a Hallmark card. The dad has worked for the subway system for decades. The mother was a school teacher who rose to being a school principal, and then, like I said, started this educational program at Rikers to like give women options for when they get out. All the kids went to college. All the kids, were successful, and early on, the mother even says, when she saw the casket and she was standing there at the funeral, all she could think was, wait till the trial, wait till the trial. Like that's gonna make this better, and that didn't happen.
There was never a trial, right? And this is just one family. Think about how many families.
Yeah, this story over and over
in
again.
the US. So anyway, it's excellent. I'm giving it a 9.
I give it a 9.5. This is an exceptional movie, and if you're a Netflix subscriber, this Friday it'll be available to you. So please watch it.
Yes, our number is 9.3. It's at 100%. And deservedly so go check it out.